Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Wasted Possession podcast. Today, it's just me and Aleh, and we got a special episode. We're going to be reviewing the Euros. We're going to be reviewing the Copa America. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the other stuff which is going on, like the Gold Cup, which is running right now, and the Olympics, which are going to be starting soon. Um, but yeah, why don't we start with the big one, Aleh? As an Englishman, how are you feeling? How are you
Uh,
feeling?
I mean, it's good. It's good to be on the pod. I think this is the first time it's just been me and you. I'm just
Yeah,
delaying the question for as long as possible, really. So yeah,
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how it is. But my day started off bad. So
Hmm.
I'll tell you what happened. I'll document you through my day, and then we'll get into the football analytics.
Alright.
I wake up. I have three hard boiled eggs because that's all the food I got in the house at the time.
Damn, okay.
So we go to a friend's house to watch the game. We got some beers and stuff. I have like five in my bag, one in my hand, beers, and they're like big bottles, like
Right,
pint
right.
bottles. Now I go to their house, take off my bag, undo one strap, the other strap just snaps because of all the beer, smashes into the floor. I'm scared to look in. No liquids coming out, so I think it's fine. But the only reason why no liquid's coming out is because my hoodie's in the bag and my hoodie's getting filled with beer. Two of the bottles broke, and I only realized that the bottles broke was when I went into the bag to get another beer and ended up cutting my hand on the glass.
Oh, dude.
So that was about 5 minutes into the game. Shaw's already scored at this point. I'm thinking it's coming home. We have a really good 20 minutes. And then yeah, Italy just take over. I mean, I did say on the podcast last time. I think my head saying Italy, my heart saying England. Um, and yeah, I think we kind of just gave the game away a bit. That last 70 minutes of full time was all Italy. I don't think we made enough changes. I think in terms of substitutions, far too late. I would have thought Jack Grealish would have been on. He should have been on in the 60th at the latest, preferably at halftime because something needed to change. The goal was always coming, and then yeah, extra time comes around. Still no changes initially. Grealish comes on in extra time. I don't think that's enough time for him to do anything
Yeah.
at that point. Sancho and Rashford come on. Um, I think it's one of them decisions. It's like in 2014 when Louis van Gaal took off Silesen, I think it was, for
Hmm.
Krull as they conceded a penalty, and then Tim Krull saved the penalty. And he was praised for being a tactical genius. If Sancho and Rashford scored their penalties, Southgate would be being praised for being a tactical genius. But
Right.
obviously they didn't for one reason or another. There were a lot of calls in that stoppage time as well about Chiellini's shirt pull on Saka and he should have been sent off. No way should that have been a red card in my opinion. I think it should have been a yellow, but it doesn't go further than that.
Hmm.
So then, yeah, obviously Italy missed their first penalty. I'm excited. Harry Kane smashes one in, and then Maguire steps up to take the second one for England, and I'm thinking, what's going on? He scores the best penalty I've ever seen anyone take. Smacks it into the top corner, breaks the camera. It's all good. And then obviously Sancho and Rashford miss. I'm head in hands. Jorginho stepping up. You think it's done. Um, you see Jordan Pickford say, "Yeah, no problem," and then make the save. At that
Right.
point, I'm thinking, "This is ours. We've done it."
Right,
And I see
right.
Bukayo Saka stepping up, and I'm like, Jack Grealish is right there. Sterling's not good at penalties, but he's been on a bit of form in the tournament. And yeah, I think Saka just hadn't taken a penalty ever professionally. Um, in his career, obviously, I think that was only going to go one way. When it's the fifth and final penalty. And he obviously doesn't have a particularly good one. Italy go on and win it. And then on the ride home, we're on the tube. I'm going back to West London. As soon as I get off the tube, I throw up because I've only eaten three
Ah,
eggs and had a shit ton of beer there.
right,
It
right.
was a bad day from start to finish. We had a few highs, but there were a lot of lows.
Right.
And yeah, that just summed it up. We were walking. I was feeling ill. It was raining everywhere. It was proper like pathetic fallacy, that sort of thing. It was a disappointing. The tube home, everyone was sad. Luckily, I didn't get in any altercations with any of the violence that was going on in London. That was a few going on, which were really shocking, and I'm quite happy that we didn't win to a degree because of how people reacted off the back of it. But all in all, I think it was a very deserved Italy win.
Yeah. I mean, also, I feel like the thing is when a goalkeeper dives to try to get a ball, like 99.9% of the time, it's a guess,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just like, hey, I'm gonna go just do my best, right, dude? Donnarumma. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, look, I honestly, I don't think there was anything wrong with Saka's penalty. I feel like Saka's penalty, you know what? Like on any day, any other day,
Mm.
it may go in. Like it was placed. It had power. It was fine. It was just Donnarumma guess right.
Yeah, I
You know what I
think
mean?
I think it was. I'm not sure. I think I think Saka's body language heavily suggested the way he was going. Maybe because
Yeah,
he doesn't have that experience in trying to hide or mask that somebody like Harry Kane, or even like Jack Grealish, who didn't take a penalty, would have or have.
right.
So I think it was a lot to ask a 19-year-old, and probably what was it? It must have been one of his first four starts or
Yeah, I
games in
think
an England shirt.
yeah. How many games did he play? With 6 games total he's played for
Something like
England.
that, yeah. And
Yeah,
not all of them were starts, obviously.
yeah,
So I think it was a bit
yeah.
poor. I think Southgate's been quite clever in a lot of what he's done. I just feel like he tried to be a bit too clever in this one.
Hmm. Right, because they were probably expecting someone like Grealish, and then they
Yeah,
probably were setting Grealish's penalties.
and even
Right.
then, I think you've got Harry Kane taking the first penalty, which is fine. But I'd
But
want it
Harry,
being on later.
but wouldn't Harry Kane be a lot more unpredictable than? So that's why it's better to just have someone someone like Grealish. I feel like with Grealish, definitely the Italians were setting, they were probably like, okay, who are the top five penalty takers for England,
Mm.
right? Let's memorize exactly where they're gonna go. We know that Harry Kane is a bit of an unpredictable one because he's one of the best strikers in the world, so
Yeah,
he can place the ball wherever he wants. But people like Grealish, under like a high pressure situation, they're gonna go down to their routine, right?
yeah,
And not just
but
Grealish, but like Sancho and
it's not just that. It's not just that. It's a case of if you're looking at Harry Kane and you're saying he's this unpredictable finisher, I don't see why you'd put him first. I know there's that massive argument about you put your better penalty kick takers first, but I think when I don't think anyone can comprehend the amount of pressure you'd be under in that situation because not only would there be at least 20,000 England fans in that stadium wanting you to score, there's then at least 20,000 Italian fans wanting you to miss, and then the
right.
weight of an entire country on you. If you miss, you're going to be seen as the reason why you don't win. Now, if Saka's taking a penalty, I want him to take one earlier on when the stakes aren't as high.
Do you think
Um,
Calvert Lewin should have been there instead of Saka?
I think Calvert-Lewin should have been. I didn't think he was even brought on, was he?
No.
I think he should have been brought on. But then I guess it's a case of you've brought on Sancho, you brought on Rashford. I did not think that was a chance that Rashford misses. To be honest,
Yeah.
his penalty record's been clinical, and you know what? He hit the post. Like that's one of them. Could have gone either way. Sancho's penalty was poor. But I'm never associated him with being a penalty taker. To be honest, I don't know if that's just me not watching enough of the Bundesliga, but I can't recall him really taking a
Yeah.
penalty. So I think maybe bringing DCL on, if you're just going to bring on penalty takers at the end, would have probably been the better option over Sancho.
Hmm. Right. So, do you think then, like, I mean, obviously with Saka, he's 19, and I mean, I think like me in general, there's been a lot of talk about him,
Yeah.
right? Sancho is what? How much is he, over 100 million pound transfer? Is he over 100
I
million
think
pounds?
it's 73 million, Sancho.
Sorry. My bad for exaggerating.
Yeah,
73 million pounds.
yeah.
I think maybe in dollars it might be close to 100 million.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
probably like
sure.
90 odd million dollars.
Yeah, yeah. So Sancho, obviously, big money signing, going to United, right? Back in the Prem, really first time actually playing in the Prem, right? Last time you were just an academy player. Uh, I mean, if Saka, we know Saka, like obviously, this is gonna hurt his confidence. This is
Yeah.
gonna hurt him, right? What about Sancho? I mean, I know he's a bit more of an established player. He's been around the block longer, and he's been the main man
Mm.
for a few seasons, right? Now he's going to arguably, one of the two biggest clubs in England, in Manchester United, right? Like, I mean, does this also, I suppose, how do you think this affects him, especially you being a Man U fan?
I don't think it does. I think
Hmm.
there was a lot of racism directed towards those three, which was vile. Um,
Right.
and again, kind of glad we didn't win it if that's going to be the opinion of the fans. But I think he didn't take the brunt of the blame. Saka did, and probably
Hmm.
Southgate in terms of immediate reaction. And then just because they were black players, they all got lumped in together as part of that, racist agenda. Um, but I think for him, he wasn't. There might be a bit of pressure. He didn't particularly bless you. He didn't particularly
Thank you.
do much um, during the tournament for one reason or another. Um, Maybe that factored in with the lack of a penalty would, the lack of a penalty conversion, sorry, would affect him going forward. But at the same time, you're the hottest transfer that there's been this window. I can't think of a transfer that's gone through that is bigger. Um, and it's an opportunity for a fresh start. It's obviously something that he's wanted for a while, and he's proven at a club level he's able to perform. So I guess when you factor everything in, I guess I don't think you get to that level without having an elite mentality. So on the basis of him probably having an elite mentality, I think he'll still perform and be a success.
Sure. I mean, but do you think, don't you think that the pressure of a playing for United, the English media, just what just happened in the finals, and that pretty much the biggest stage internationally this year, right? And obviously the price tag. Like,
Mm.
don't you think that's like? I mean, that's got to have some effect. I understand it probably does. It's probably not the same level as. I mean, honestly, I think Saka is quite mentally strong as well. But like,
Yeah,
it's probably not the same level as like as some other players, perhaps, right? But I feel like it still has to play a part, and especially if he doesn't. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't predict the future, right? But like from what we have right now, right? Like,
I think no, I think well, if we're looking at what we have, I think he's got an insane. I'm trying to think of a better word to use, but I think he's got some like serious balls on him in terms
mm,
of when you're looking at what he did to force his way out of Manchester City because he knew what he wanted. He knew what was
right,
going to be better for his development. I think at that time, Man City weren't really seen as a club that was good enough to bring in youth prospects.
mm,
We were looking at the likes of Foden being on the bench and missing out on a Premier League medal. I can't remember if that was the season after or the season that he left. And there was a little bit of stigma, and obviously maybe he was able to witness that and maybe not see the potential of having that at Manchester City. So he obviously forced the move to Borussia Dortmund, and I think it worked for the better. That's a massive risk to take at that age, and I don't think anyone could turn around and say he didn't make the right decision. So for
mm.
looking at the basis of that, you need to have an air of arrogance about you, not necessarily in a bad way, but you have to have the ability to fully back yourself and what you believe you can do. And I think he did that, and now he's one of the most expensive players in the world.
Do you like it? Do you like him more because he was a former Man City player
Yeah, I'm
and
not gonna lie.
basically
That's
was, yeah, and came through their youth system, came through their resources.
it's one of them. I remember when Berbatov was playing. I went to watch a game where Berbatov was playing, and everyone was singing Berbatov, Berbatov. He went to City, and he said, "Fuck off." That's going to be the chance to Jadon Sancho, and I can't wait. As soon as that it's gonna be worked in there, and I think if he does well, and if he scores against Manchester City and has a big celebration, I think he'll be an instant legend.
So I mean, okay. Do you think that the Ronaldo curse, right? And I'm calling it Ronaldo curse. The Ronaldo curse is basically it's and every single player would say United have brought try to replace Ronaldo has effectively failed, right? Or by failed as in they haven't lived up to that expectation or even
Yeah.
come close to that expectation. And you can argue that Real Madrid is kind of going through the same thing.
Mhm.
Granted, there's a few special guys like Vinicius Junior who I think have potential, but dude, compared to I mean
I don't think
Ronaldo's
they'll be.
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But do you think is Sancho going to be the curse breaker, or do you think like he just continues?
I don't think anyone's going to be that player for Manchester United that Ronaldo
Right.
was. I think obviously you're looking at the players that we had come in. The closest player who performed it was Antonio Valencia, the guy who came in after him, and he ended up being a right back, and he was solid. He captain material, I think, did a good job for us. But if you look at it from the perspective of you were supposed to replace Ronaldo on the right wing and you became a right back, or is that a success because you were obviously our first choice right back, probably the best right back we'd had in a long time. I know Gary Neville was there before him. I think Gary Neville's mentality got him through and not necessarily his talent in that regard. But probably one of our best right backs that we've had in a while. Or is he a failure for not being able to actually replace Ronaldo? It's a bit of a coin toss on that front. But I think Ronaldo leaving Manchester United was like what 12 years ago now, which is mad to believe.
The
2009. And having Ronaldo at United is a bit of a distant memory in that regard. So I think that there isn't that like replacing Ronaldo, that ship sailed a long time ago. If we're thinking
mm,
about it like that, if we're looking at somebody with high potential who can come in and perform at a world class level, then I think he will. I don't think he'll ever be what Ronaldo was.
of
But
course.
even then, Ronaldo, I don't think Ronaldo was anywhere near his peak when he was at Manchester United. I know he still won a Ballon d'Or, but the player who became at Real Madrid was a
Yeah.
monster. We're looking at particularly 2013, 2014 era. Was he was an absolute beast. Um, so I think we could have a player that is similar to Ronaldo's level when he left United. Not quite at that level, but maybe the next best thing potentially,
But,
which I guess is all that we can really ask for right now.
but I guess I should have phrased that question differently. I think I should have said, "Is someone going to be able to break the number seven curse, right?
I
Or
mean,
be the number seven?
yeah,
Because
I don't know.
like United has a history with the number seven, right? Like you have
Yeah,
which like George Best, Beckham, Ronaldo,
it is a
and
coveted number.
right, exactly. Unfortunately, like since Ronaldo, that number really hasn't been justified. I would say.
Yeah, well, who did we have? We had Falcao, Valencia first. He had one season with it and couldn't deal with the pressure and took 25 back. Then we had Falcao. Then we had Di Maria. We had Memphis. And it's all currently out with Cavani, which I think has probably been the best number seven that we've had since Ronaldo. So
Mhm.
maybe in a year's time when I don't think Cavani will be here another season after this one. So maybe he'll take the number seven there. I am curious to see which number he takes though.
It's got to be seven,
Sancho.
dude. It's got to
I,
be
I
seven.
mean, the thing is, well, how are you going to rejig it? Because Rashford's obviously number 10, Greenwood's number 11, Martial's number 9, Cavani's number 7. Unless we get rid of Martial, which I really wouldn't mind, to be honest with you, because Ole's come out today and said Lingard's part of his plan, which I fully back after how he performed. Obviously, Rashford's out for a couple of months, but if we start the season with, Lingard, Cavani / Greenwood, Sancho, and then you've got Facundo Palestri, who played quite well today against Derby, and Amad Diallo in there as well. I think that's a really good that's a lot. That's good enough.
Right,
Um, and yeah, I think Marshall's kind of always been a bit average, and last season was very much below average. So if we were to move him on, then maybe Cavani takes a number 9, and Sancho gets a
right,
number 7. He'll get the number 7. It's just a case of when though. Might have to stick with 17 until the moves happen.
right. I guess going back to the Euros, the original
Yeah.
topic. Okay, this is I guess the final question. What would be your dream 11 from this year? Oh, not dream 11. What would your team in the tournament for this year's Euros?
I'd have Donnarumma in goals. I know a lot of people are talking about Pickford, but I think Donnarumma had more shots against him,
Player of
made
the
the bigger
tournament.
saves. Yeah, 100%. At left back, I have to go Luke Shaw. It's a toss up between him and Spinazzola, but I think Luke Shaw takes it. Centre backs, I'd go Harry Maguire. Was insane. It just goes to show how good of a centre back he can be when the centre backs next to him isn't shit. Because Lindelof, whether it's because of back problems or not, I think he was the reason why Sweden went out. Obviously, if Varane comes in, then we'll see more. But he was absolutely class from a defensive standpoint. Probably Chiellini next to him. Chiellini, just the way he bullied Alba and his mentality throughout, I think is more than deserving of the other centre back spot. Right back, I'm trying to think. I'd probably go Kyle Walker. Previously I've never really been one to rate Kyle Walker, but this tournament he was class, offensively, defensively. Whether he was in that back three. So far, we've only had Italian and English players. I guess they got to the final though, so that's probably why. But he'd probably go the right. In the midfield, I think I'd probably go with Paul Pogba. I'm going for a 4-3-3 with an attacking midfielder, by the way. I'd
Yeah,
probably go for Paul Pogba and maybe maybe Calvin Phillips. I think Phillips was really really good defensively and in a box to box role, so
yeah.
I think he might have definitely deserved that. Left wing, I'd probably go Raheem Sterling. I know I don't rate him, but he made good of the opportunities that came. And in a squad that's there to set him up, he's good. Not necessarily when he has to create chances. He's abysmal at that for a winger. But when it comes to taking him and finding the space, I think he was good enough. Trying to think who I'd throw in on the right wing because I don't. My heart's saying Federico Chiesa, but I don't think he played particularly well enough to take that spot over the tournament. I just really, really do like him. I'm trying to think who performed. I'd probably, I think I'd probably have to go Chiesa to be honest. Him and Berardi were quite
Yeah.
good, but I think Chiesa edged it. And up front, Patrick Schick. I don't think any striker really came too close to him.
What really? Are
Yeah,
you? I so
I think in terms of the shot, the chances that he had,
yeah.
and some of the goals he scored, I think he did well with what he had, and I
Right,
think he
right.
deserves a bit of credit for that.
He definitely balled out.
Yeah.
All right. So my tournament, I guess 11 for the Euros is gonna be Donnarumma in goal. I think consensus on that.
Yep.
Left back Spinazzola.
Oh,
Bro, he before he got injured,
he was he
he
was
was
he
so
was
important.
quality. He
He
was
was
quality.
essential for that Italian
I
side.
know I'm going for sure over Spinazzola because of English bias, so I'll accept
I mean,
that.
I would say like it was very close. I think
Yeah.
it's almost a 50-50 between the two. It's just that for me, I felt like even though Shaw improved over the tournament and was extremely important and was probably like up there, like if you look at the tournament overall, maybe he was the best left back because
Yeah.
he played pretty much the entire tournament, right? But for me, the reason like before Spinazzola's injury, he was like one of the main guys in the Italian team.
Yeah.
Like in a team which is dominated by extremely good midfielders and wingers, you had a fullback, and as a fullback myself, like what I mean.
Yeah.
You
Real
got
recognize real.
exactly. But so for me, I have to go with Spinazzola, and then in the middle, I'll go with this is a difficult one, and it's the English and Italian defense was perfect, and in fact, for this reason, actually, I'm gonna go with three center backs. I'm gonna
Okay.
go with because I don't want to split up, right? I'm gonna go with Chiellini. I'm gonna go with uh, I'm between Stones and Maguire because to me, I think both were great.
Yeah.
But I mean, Maguire took that penalty, so I'll give it to Maguire, and then I'm gonna give it to actually I'm gonna give it to Laporte from
Report.
Spain. Yeah, I thought honestly I felt like he was one of the biggest reasons why Spain was able to get to. I mean, you know what? Screw it. Remove Laporte, put Bonucci in there. Actually, you gotta respect, gotta respect Bonucci, man. And then right wing back slash kind of right mid. Um, I'm gonna put Chiesa there. I obviously being a little more attacking,
Yeah.
just because I gotta fit the guys in, right? And then in the midfield, I mean, I think this Euros was dominated by very good midfielders,
Yeah.
like 100%. And I'm gonna go with three midfielders. I'm with Sergio Busquets. I think he was essential. He was. I mean, him and Morata were probably the two most important players. And I know,
I
Busquets and
hate
Morata in the same
Busquets.
sentence.
Otherwise, I would have probably put Busquets in, but I just
Yeah,
can't stand him.
like Spain before Busquets was a team which was probably going to get knocked out
Yeah.
like early on, and then Spain after Busquets was a team which made it to the semifinals and
Mm.
and played better than Italy in the semifinals. Like they
Yeah,
could have,
they gave him a game.
yeah, exactly, yeah. The other midfielder I'll go is Pedri. I think Pedri, obviously,
Pedro
young
is a
player of the
class.
tournament. I mean, come on. There's not much to say there. He's quality. He's the next Iniesta, Xavi, whatever you want to call him. Um, and then for the final midfielder, I would actually also go with Paul Pogba. I thought I if France hadn't been knocked out, I think Pogba would have been like he was building a case for player of the tournament.
Yeah.
Uh, but it is what it is. And then up top, I'm gonna go. So which for that? Yeah, up top, I'm gonna go with two forwards. One of them is Harry Kane. I felt like Harry Kane, for me, he was the best forward or striker really in this tournament. I mean, he was doing everything right. He was dropping into the midfield. He was complete. Like this was the most complete Harry Kane I've seen. And
Yeah.
I give credit to Jose Mourinho because I remember that documentary. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna make you like on the same level as Messi and Ronaldo, right? Or like at that world class level." And he did change his game, right? He made him into more of a complete forward. He made him into someone who can create, score, do everything pretty much.
Yeah.
And this tournament was the epitome of that. And it sucks because Jose was fired. I mean, or sacked, right? Like this, it's just yeah. I think. I mean, I have a feeling that history may not be kind to Jose for his time at Tottenham, but
Mm.
Kane's performance, I think, was a testimony to just how, like, really how good of a coach he is, and
Yeah.
and really changing and taking players to the next level. And the other forward I will put up there is what's going. Oh, Benzema.
Benzema.
Yeah, I think Benzema was honestly the best. And honestly, to me, really like I was almost tempted to put like Lukaku there
Yeah.
or even like Griezmann. I feel like Griezmann had a good tournament, like genuinely, because in this like in every France game, it felt like Griezmann was. I mean, he wasn't really like your number nine, but he was really a 10. Like he was connecting everything together. He was linking. He was a link between Mbappe and Benzema, and really
Mm.
the midfield and the attack for France. But yeah, I felt like Benzema was. I mean, Benzema is Benzema, right? Like
Yeah.
it was just one of the great performance. Scored a bunch of goals. He created chances. He did. I mean, he did everything. He's one of the most underrated players probably in football history. I mean, because he really should be considered one of the greatest forwards of all time, in my opinion. Because he is like, look, there's not a lot of forwards who are going to say, "Hey, I'm willing to score just 2 goals a season, even though I have the
Yeah.
capability to score 60. I'm going to score two because I need to make sure I'm creating for my teammates and like to me, I think because at the end of the day, it's a team sport. If a forward
Yeah.
who's willing to kill his own, who has the quality to be, to scoring 60, 70 goals, if he goes, no, I'm actually going to sacrifice that because I feel like you know, I want to keep my teammates their egos boosted so they keep performing, but also because I think like they're in a better position to score, or they're it's just different reasons, right? I
Yeah.
feel like that's the level of self sacrifice and being able to perform at such a high level for so long as he has.
Mm.
And yes, he's overshadowed in the Messi Ronaldo era. If there's a Ronaldo, I think Benzema is probably considered in the pantheon of the greatest. But yeah, to me, Benzema, world class as always,
Yeah.
and he goes in my team. All right,
Wow, we had a few similarities in that.
yeah. Who's your player of the tournament?
Who was my player of the tournament? Part of me wants to say Luke Shaw. Nah, to be honest, I think this tournament, I don't think Italy would have won it if it wasn't for Donnarumma.
Hmm.
I don't think the goalkeeper position is ever going to get the credit it deserves, so I'm going to back the goalkeepers and say Donnarumma.
Fair, fair.
What about you?
Um, it's a difficult one. I mean, there were a lot of good performances, and I know I didn't mention a single Danish player, even though I think they
Oh,
were
yeah.
pretty solid. But I mean, yeah, it's a like for I would say from a big chunk of the tournament, I really liked Raheem Sterling,
Mm.
which is kind of funny for me to say as a Liverpool
As a
fan.
Liverpool fan, yeah.
I mean, man, he was like there were times when he was like one of the best. He was probably the best player for England at certain points during the during the games,
Mm.
and it'd be funny if I was to say my player of the tournament is Sterling, even though he's not in my 11.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but but so I wouldn't say it's Sterling. Um, dude, and honestly, Kane was also like really special for a lot. I
Mm.
mean, I know in the group stages there were times when perhaps he wasn't like what he should have been, but I feel like he was still contributing significantly.
Yeah.
And once again, like it was extremely close call. And I want to say Donnarumma, but I also want to give a different answer, right?
Yeah. We gotta keep it
So
fresh.
exactly, yeah. Shoot, dude. I just realized I also didn't mention Verratti in that midfield, but honestly, it doesn't
That
matter
was too
because
many good players, man.
exactly. Like this was, I think this was probably a better Euros than the last Euros,
Yeah,
just
100.
because the quality. But yeah, dude. Honestly, for me, the player of the tournament probably has to be. Why is it this is so much harder than it looks? I should have
Yeah,
thought
man.
about this before.
Nah, there was so much quality.
Yeah, like I really cannot decide. It's it's between a bunch of different players, and I don't know who to pick. I'm I mm, I might as well go for what's the name for Donnarumma. Fuck it, why not? Why not?
Go for the
Because
keepers, bro. They don't get the.
yeah,
They don't get. He was
give him some
fantastic.
respect. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like this Euros was it was one of the best. I think especially since like the delay and obviously the pandemic, like
Mm.
it was quite refreshing. I think it was the tournament of the year, like Champions League, Premier League. Like I don't think any of them reached the quality that this Euros had.
Yeah, especially on that level, because obviously one of my entire house was rooting for England, and me and my kind of Manchester United fans, and one of the guys we live with is a Man City fan. So we're never going to be on the same page. One of them is a Southampton fan, so we're not going to be on the same page, and the other one's not really into football. So we had everyone. It was like the first time I can remember me and my boy cheering for the same team. So it was just different. It was special, man. It was good.
Yeah, I mean
Even
I'm not even English, man, or Italian.
if
I enjoyed it, and in fact, for during the final, I was actually at a Loud United game, at my local club's game, right?
yeah.
And we missed the penalty. And like literally like 10, 20 minutes later with like there were these Italians actually like I mean they're like American Italian, they start cheering, right? And then this other guy like who was like down there and we like talked to, I was like, hey, what's the score? He's like, oh, Italy just won. I was like, oh, okay, makes
No
sense. But
way.
yeah, no, it's definitely a good tournament. And I guess like talking about some of the things we talked about, the cojones you need when you're taking this of Sancho,
Yeah.
and our other dudes. But it leads me to other tournaments, which is all about the cojones, the Copa America. uh, Quite different from the Euros,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think you know there it's been going on. I would say probably for most of the 21st century, we have seen a general decline in South American football. And
Mm,
I remember like there was a podcast I listened to, or like a YouTube channel maybe I was watching, where someone was talking about how there was like this Argentinian coach. There were two Argentinian coaches. They were like the Jose and Pep of Argentina,
mm.
right? One of them was just like Jose, extremely pragmatic, right? Defense first, like, hey, we're not gonna concede. We're gonna, and I, yeah, a pragmatic guy. And the other guy was kind of like Pep, like, hey, we should be playing beautiful football. We should be playing nice, pretty football. And the guy, the Pep of South America, right? He was basically quoted as saying that South American football will die if we continue to play this like extremely pragmatic and cautious style. But like as South Americans, like we should be playing the most beautiful style. Like that's what South America used to be known for.
Yeah,
And
the
and
samba.
and right, samba,
Exactly.
but yeah, but like the Huga Bonita and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And really at this Copa America, I would say there was only one team which was playing like kind of beautiful football, and that was Brazil.
Mm.
And they lost in the final, right? and And this Argentinian team, which let's be honest, like Argentina is always associated with, at least for the last like since Messi's been around, this generation has been around,
Right.
for
Yep.
having four, five, six world class attackers, right? Like Higuain, Aguero, Messi, Di Maria, and Icardi, Dybala. I mean, you can just go on and on, right? And really, you know, the Argentinian team, which won, because like it's always been like every Argentinian coach is usually trying to figure out how to fit this attack together. This
Yeah.
Argentinian team, which won, it yes, it won in a big contribution because Messi was carrying that offense. But I think the biggest reason it won the championship was because it was defensively competent. Its midfield was extremely just a bunch of dogs, right?
Mm.
Its defense was just a bunch of dogs, and they were like, "Hey, we're not gonna concede, and it's okay. We can do this because Messi and
Yeah.
Lautaro Martinez, but Messi and dude, Messi had one of the best tournaments of his career. Like every stat, he was just number one. And yeah, like I'll remember this Copa America not because the football was pretty, and it wasn't pretty. It was pretty
Mm.
ugly at times. And that Messi Chile game was Messi Chile, the Argentina Chile game was just. I mean, it was disgusting to watch at times, but it's one. I mean, South America. What do you expect? Like
Yeah.
it
Exactly.
happens. It happens.
People have
Uh,
players have been killed because of what's happened in South
exactly.
American football. We looked at it. Was it Colombia?
Yeah, I think it was either
In the
Colombia or Brazil.
'94 World Cup.
I had the defender from Colombia. I think.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
Escobar. Yeah, like it's a really there's a lot going on, and that's, when you're looking, particularly at someone like that, where I guess it all comes from the economical factors, right? There's a lot of I think a lot of people in the countries in South America will be living below the poverty line, sort of thing. And football's the escape for a lot of these guys, and that's where the passion comes from. And that passion can turn ugly when things don't go your way, because I guess there's that pressure as well.
Right.
So it is rough, but I guess that's why they dominated football for so long. You look at the
Hundred
World
percent.
Cup, Brazil and Argentina up there. Uruguay won the first one, and then they won another. So there's,
Yeah.
there's that history there counts for a lot.
Right. And also, I feel like that passion, that it kind of leads to the cautious mentality, like
Mm.
naturally, right? Like,
Like
let's be
whatever
honest.
happens, don't screw up.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
Mm.
just let's just not take a risk. Let's just play it safe.
Yeah,
And like, because let's be honest, like if you're in Ecuador, right, or if you're a Peru, right, you have that passionate following at back home, right, but
yeah,
you're not gonna beat Brazil, right? Like I mean, maybe
yeah.
you might get lucky, but come on, right?
So
Like
even
you have to be
even
realistic.
Chile were playing Ben Brereton up top, who's a championship striker, far from an Alexis Sanchez sort of guy who would have been playing up top for them before. So there is I guess that sort of defensive tactical mindset is going to be more prominent when the talent pool isn't as high as maybe it once was, or compared to the other countries in the tournament.
But I think the golden age of South American football, like you're talking about like the 70s, the
Yeah,
80s, the 90s, and even before that, like South America was like most of the 20th century. I would say South America was probably
yeah,
arguably more impressive than Europe at times, right? And
mm.
definitely that stretch, from Pele, Maradona, and then Ronaldo Nazario, Ronaldinho, dude. I mean, yeah, the 70s, 80s, 90s stretch
I
it was
feel like the
insane.
moment that button was turned off was when Ronaldinho was let go from Barcelona.
Really,
Yeah, that was
how
that
come?
to me is just what's happened. Like after that, obviously they won in 2002. Brazil was still prominent in the 2006 World Cup, and then I feel like that was just the beginning of the end. I don't think it was
Mm,
necessarily, like that. I don't think that led to that in sort of in sort of story arc. But I think once that happened, I feel like from that point it it went and hasn't really bounced back.
mm.
And
It's like a marker.
yeah, it's like what point does it go from being quality to being not as good as it used to be? And I feel like that's probably the point that comes to mind. I don't know if there's anything else that particularly happened, but it's one of them, isn't it? Like obviously Emi Martinez doing absolute bits for Argentina. Before Emi Martinez, who no when was the last time they had a world class goalkeeper? They had Geronimo Rulli, who was good, but wasn't
Yeah.
great. Once you look at but Brazil, once the likes of Cafu, Dida, Romario, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho were out of the picture. No one's really come up to replace them
I
in that way.
mean, I don't know. I feel like with Brazil, there's been that replacement. It's like in this generation. Like I think
I
there's.
don't think so. I think Neymar's good, but I don't think he really touches what any of those players were.
I mean,
Um,
but
Goalkeepers, I think they've
Neymar is
improved.
like one of the top five goal scorers for Brazil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is, but I mean, playing from when he was 18. I don't think that he is as good as those guys were though, and I think
Hmm.
generally the squad hasn't really got to that point. Like
Yeah. Sure.
you're looking particularly that right back position. Cafu was so instrumental to a lot of the success there through that leadership and quality,
So,
and then you have Fanya coming in. Just not on the same level as.
do you think that Dani Alves was like a sufficient replacement for Cafu on the right back position?
I
Because
think he
to
was.
me, I think he was.
Danny Alves was a quality player, but I don't think he made up for the leadership, and I don't think anyone else
Hmm.
particularly stood up for that
Hmm.
leadership. If you're looking at squad leaders in that squad when Cafu would have gone, you probably tend to look at someone like Ronaldinho, who, when you're a player, probably isn't the role model you'd want with a
Right. Right.
right
Right.
with his lifestyle. And I think maybe that's what they were lacking. I just don't think that squad's ever recovered. And you'll have the one
Yeah.
individual, but that don't make a team.
Yeah. 100%.
The England players that we have now, if you look at what we had in 2006 and 2004, 2004 and 2006, shit on them. We're talking Beckham, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Terry, Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, David James, I don't know, Wayne Rooney. And now, obviously, we're looking at what we have now. Um, you can't. Those players that we had back then were insane, but the squad's a lot better now, and I think maybe we have more appropriate leaders in place. I think John Terry was
Hmm.
a leader on the pitch, but I don't think he was. Um, you're looking at some maybe his personal life and some of the stuff that he's done on the pitch, maybe not the best. Again, David Beckham, I'm not sure when it comes to captain material. Jared, I think was, but at the same time, too many chefs.
The greatest. The greatest.
Yeah, but I think you had a lot of people there who would have fancied themselves as the top dog.
Yeah. But I mean, there were a lot of captains in that
Yeah,
England side. I think even this England side has captains, like plenty of captains. But yeah, I see what your point. Like the captains in this England side, you would say are like like great role models, like Henderson, Kane,
yeah.
even Maguire. Like you would say, like yeah, like these are solid guys to follow.
Minus the fact that he punched a guy in Greece, you can you
I
can you
mean,
can give him a bit of credit.
think sometimes Leonidas happens in Greece.
So sometimes, bro, you just need to punch a guy.
Right. What's the But in the Copa America final,
Mm.
I think very obviously Messi, the greatest, whoever was, ever will be. Period. No, don't add me. Winning it. But okay, this is what I found interesting in the Copa America final was Brazil's. I guess Brazil's tactics, because Argentina's game plan was like, okay, like we're gonna dog it out, we're gonna defend hard, and Messi and Lautaro Martinez are gonna score with De Paul probably setting him up, and that's what happened. De Paul set up Di Maria with a beautiful ball over
Mm.
everyone, and that's why I think De Paul. I mean, dude, De Paul's so dirty, dude. He's such a dirty player, right? I mean,
Yeah,
dirty as in like he's good, right? He's
yeah,
such a
yeah.
good player.
Not dirty as in
He,
Busquets.
right, right. I mean, no, not even Busquets, dude. Dude, like you'll see next year in the Champions League when he's
Yeah,
playing for
yeah,
Atletico, just how good this kid is. He sends the ball over, perfect ball, from his own half into towards Di Maria. Di Maria touches it down, scores, bang. And after that, primarily Argentina's back to like they're consistent with their defense, but or with their tactics. But with Brazil,
yeah. Mm.
even from the very start, it was very much like you know like yes, we're gonna go all guns blazing, and then we're gonna just continue going on all guns blazing for the rest of the game.
Mm.
Like they pretty like they had Neymar effectively coming in and playing as a 10, and they had Paqueta, who's like a very attacking midfielder, like
Mm,
very attacking midfielder.
yeah.
I'm talking about basically a second striker, also playing that in there. And then I remember there was a point in the game when they had I think six forwards, and then they made a substitution to bring on just another forward. You know what I mean? Like
They were going
it's
to score.
they were going pretty much all out and couldn't score. But like yeah, like I remember they were literally like their defense was because even their fullbacks were extremely attacking. Their
Yeah.
defense was just okay, Casemiro, Thiago Silva, and Marquinhos, and the goalkeeper, and like their I think their left back or one of their right back, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else was they were just like okay, go attack,
Yeah.
right? And which is fine. And credit to Argentina to be able to like defend against that barrage, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just I felt like some of the stuff which they were trying to pull off, which they tried to do in order to kind of have that attack going, costed the game. And here's the example of this. So Fred, I know you have opinions on Fred. Fred was essential for Brazil the whole tournament. He pretty
Mm,
much played like a six who would he was more like an inverted wingback almost at times,
yeah.
right? Because basically their fullback was extremely attacking. He would bomb up the field, and Fred would kind of cover for him, right? And he would just defend. He would take very simple passes. He would just pass the ball to the more creative guys like Neymar, like Paqueta, who are coming down, grabbing the ball, going up, right? But in this game, like in the final, like Fred was like, let's be honest, like he was not good, and he
Mm,
was being exposed over and over again. He like every incompetency he has in this massive game was just exposed,
yeah.
right? And and once he got substituted off, Brazil looked a lot more like secure, you
Mm,
know. And and, and I remember what you call it. And later on in the game, once they have like Firmino on, and that's the thing. I'm surprised Firmino was left on the bench, especially if you're gonna be super attacking. You might as well bring on a forward who can defend pretty well, right? I think they should have probably gone with Firmino to start with, paired with Neymar. But
maybe. Maybe.
yeah, but to each their own, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually they have Gabby Goal come in, they have Vinicius come in. I mean, honestly, if they if they had like a David Luiz, he would have been on the pitch and probably a striker by that point,
Yeah.
right? But it was a wild game, not a wild game, but it was a great game,
Mm,
good tactical battle, and it's rare to see 6 to 7 attackers on the field at the same time, and we got to see that, except they didn't score, which credit to Argentina and credit to what's his name, Otamendi. Think about it. Otamendi took on a Brazilian attack of six
and did
and
it.
and held his own, right? And
It's then thinking about Otamendi performing.
yeah, and obviously Emi Martinez. I think Emi Martinez, like, I think he finally got the respect which he has been earning for a while. Like,
Mm.
definitely last season, he was one of the better goalkeepers in the
He
Premier
was
League.
one of the best in the Premier League,
Yeah.
if not the
Oh yeah.
best.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely top three,
Yeah.
undoubtedly. And dude, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. I'm excited to see this Villa side if they're able to hold on to Jack Grealish. What happens,
Yeah.
right?
I hear that him to City is already a done deal.
Really?
Yeah, 88 million apparently. They were waiting until after the Euros to announce. Obviously, it's been a week, no announcement yet, but that was heavily rumored. They will,
If Jack Grealish goes, who do you think Villa brings in?
well, they've already brought in Emi Buendia, who I think is a
I
really.
mean, I,
Um, do
I
you
don't
not
know.
think?
Buendia is a good player. It just Grealish is Grealish.
Yeah,
Like I,
exactly, exactly. They're not going to be able to replace Grealish. Anybody on
yeah,
Grealish's level is probably going to be looking at a much better club than that. So
right.
I don't think they'll replace him with anyone remotely like for like. But you never know who they could bring in. We'll have
It,
to wait
it's
and see.
it's more like bring in Buendia and then maybe bring two more players.
Yeah, I don't know who they go for. Maybe they'd stay English and in the Prem. Who knows?
Dude, maybe they look at some of that Argentinian talent. I mean, man, they're
Maybe.
for me. I think there were a few like breakout players. Like there's a guy Gonzalez, I think his name is. I'm trying to remember his name. Uh, can't remember his first name at all. But
Is he a centre back?
no, he's a forward. Nicolas Gonzalez. Like
Okay.
he was so good for Argentina that there were talks. I remember before the final where people thought that yeah he's gonna start over Di Maria. because he
Yeah,
had for a big chunk of the tournament. But I guess luckily he did not. Di Maria,
Di Maria
big
got the
shout out
goal.
to him. Big shout out to him, man. Um, yeah, like this was like and Acuna, who was a fullback for Argentina, he was
Mm.
excellent. Tagliafico was all right. I felt like this was probably not his best tournament. And even like the backups who came in for Argentina across the board, like the whole squad, honestly, it was a good squad. And
Yeah.
to think that this squad was basically kind of shit not too long ago, like literally a few months ago,
To be fair.
and and that their head coach was appointed pretty much what their manager was appointed like 2 weeks before the tournament. I think
Yeah.
like I mean appointed as in accidentally appointed as in like his boss was fired. My guy to step up for him, Scolari to be able to win the Copa America, win it for Messi. Oh, dude, what a story! I still think Argentina is probably going to get annihilated at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's a lot of
but
quality.
yeah, but hey, man, a win is a win, and you
Well,
never
do you
know.
think going into the World Cup, who will?
Oh,
Because
I think that's
I don't think Italy will do as well. Because I think
really
at that point, Chiellini and Bonucci are going to be a year
fair,
older.
fair, fair.
And Chiellini will be what 37, Bonucci 35. Maybe we'll see Bastoni coming in, but I'm not too sure they'll be able to replicate
Yeah, is there a replacement for those two? Like,
Bastoni. That's about it.
I mean, is Bastoni even like a sufficient replacement?
I think he'll do.
Hmm.
I think he's a Champions League quality player, which I guess is more than you can ask. As much as you can ask, even. But
Right,
I guess we'll have to see how this season goes. It'll be a big season for Inter,
right.
I think so. And he obviously did win Serie A. So maybe.
Maybe there's some dual nationals out there.
Mm,
Italy can pull off a bit of a Spain if they're
well,
able to find
yeah, we'll see
some
how
French center
Germany
back.
can go. I mean, Tony Kroos is just retired from international football, so he won't be
Yeah,
there. Big void to fill. Although I think they've got the midfield quality. I think we'll have to see how it's Hans Flick, isn't it, taking over?
yeah.
So we'll see how he does. I think England will be in a good position. I'm hoping Jude Bellingham has another great season and warrants more starts and improves a lot. I guess we'll see how Sancho does in England as well. Hopefully, all them guys can step up their game. Greenwood should be, a lot fitter when that time comes. Brazil. I don't think they'll. I can't see a South American team going more than the quarters. To be
Hmm.
unless they play each other in the quarters.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Brazil, good team. Yeah, like good team. But at the same time, I mean, like they have a good forward line. Their midfield is all right. Like they have great defensive midfield. If you think about it, they have
Yeah,
a
like
good depth in
Casemiro.
goal, right? Casemiro, Fabinho. I mean, dude, and
Yeah,
and then you have Fred also in there.
nah, we don't
Um,
mention him.
yeah. I mean, and Thiago Silva, he's pretty old now. Like, is he really gonna be? You know, I mean, he was quality. He was one of the best center backs in the Copa America, and he still is. I think like
Yeah,
one of
it's
the
the
best
same.
defenders
It's the
out
same
there.
with Chiellini and Bonucci though. When you hit that age, every year makes a difference.
Right, exactly.
And
So
most players have already retired from international
right,
football at that age in order to prolong their club careers. And you look at someone like Thiago Silva and Chiellini now; they're at ages where you'd expect them to be retiring from club football, never mind international.
they're different animals.
Different gravy, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Portugal could perform, could not. Um,
I don't think Portugal performs, man. I think Portugal goes round of 16 out.
I think Belgium will. I don't think Belgium will do well.
Really? How
I
come?
think that this was their golden age, and now you've got Vertonghen and Alderweireld who aren't really getting better.
Mm.
Um, they're not going to be as good.
Do you not think that some of their like a combination of their veterans and some of these young guys are emerging and who have
Who?
emerged like Tielemans,
Yeah,
Doku,
I mean,
like
the thing. The problem is you're naming players who aren't defenders. They've got no other defenders really.
right,
Jason
yeah,
Denayer. I guess they've got that player something Kana, who isn't really at an age yet. But yeah, I mean,
Mm,
if at this point you're still starting Alderweireld, Vertonghen, and Vermaelen in every game, then
yeah, yeah, fair.
you're heading into dangerous territory.
Yeah, fair point. And I mean, France. Do you think France
Yeah,
has a chance?
I think it depends. They have a bit of an inquest, very unsettled squad according to a lot of rumors.
Would
And
you? Do you think it's time for to replace a coach?
maybe I feel
Yeah,
like something's got to change, and you can't exactly change the players.
yeah,
So yeah, maybe.
fair. Um, Also, I feel like this year's Olympics might give us a bit of a clue on who the big young players are, and that could make a difference. Like if Germany's looking for someone to replace Cruz, I think we might be able to see like the next Cruz in the Germany's Olympic campaign.
Maybe I think it depends. I think for me, if I was Germany, I'd be looking at replacing the right back position and playing Kimmich in the middle. To be honest,
Mm,
because
really?
I think he is a quick fix if they can't find someone.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
It would again depend on if they are able to find a suitable right back.
But he's one of the best right backs in the world. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
if you get right, if you move him into the midfield, yeah, sure. I think you still have a great midfielder, right? And that's really where he started. I think he started as like a either a midfielder or center back,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
or CDM. But dude, as a right, like he kills it as a right back. You know.
He does.
Uh,
He does a job. Yeah. But
mhm.
yeah, they do. I think it would be hard to replace Tony Cruz, and
Yeah.
there's no one immediately springing to mind who could really properly fit that role.
Mm. Do you think Mukoku gets a chance at the World Cup, or is he too young?
I think he's Cameroonian.
No, no, no. Mukoku.
Yeah,
I think he's committed to the German national team, isn't he?
I thought he was committed to Cameroon.
No way.
Yeah, you might have to
I
do
remember.
research, man.
Let me look it up
If it
now.
is, then it depends. I think maybe this season's a good opportunity for him with Sancho leaving to get some game
Mm.
time because he can play on the wing.
He's
But
a German professional.
German, fair.
Yeah, because I think
Maybe then.
because I know the DFB was like extremely careful with him. They were like, if we don't want any media attention to him, we're gonna protect him. We're gonna put him through our own system and raise him basically for that number 9 spot. Dude, he's a chosen one
He's
basically.
an
He's our
animal.
LeBron James.
Maybe
Um,
we'll see. We'll see
yeah.
if he lives up to
And then
it.
right now the Gold Cup is going on, and I guess like if you want to see the United States' C team and Mexico's B team and every other CONCACAF nation's A team play, or sort of A team play, then you can watch that. But
I don't understand why the US don't play their A team. Like,
in the
surely
Gold
you'd
Cup,
want, yeah,
it's
you'd
pointless,
want your.
dude. It's
But
pointless.
would you not want your players to gel? Have that game time with each other, set
So
up for next year.
basically, we play our A team in the qualifiers for the World Cup, the Nations League,
Hmm.
and obviously like any friendly we have. I mean, not we won't necessarily put our A team in the friendly. It's more like experimental, right?
Hmm.
But the thing is, the Gold Cup takes place right at the beginning of the European campaign, and our
Hmm.
best players are all playing in Europe. Like we don't want to ruin, their chances for the
Pulisic,
season,
McKennie, anyone like
right?
that.
Right. So
I
it's
get that.
better for it's better for us to just pick up, see what our depth is. Because here's the thing, and this is the thing which a lot of people don't understand about Concacaf. Concacaf qualifying sucks. Like
Yeah.
it really sucks. And if you're the United States, every country you go in hates you. Every referee hates you. Every player on the field who's not American hates you. You know what I mean? Like you need, and also you're gonna have a lot of injuries because guess what? Like people are going to be just launching tackles at your players just nonstop, right? And for that reason, it's extremely important to have like a very good rotation and very good depth. Like the teams which are the best in Concacaf have can basically play 4 teams in Concacaf,
Mm.
you know. And so like basically the Gold Cup has always served for the U.S. as a place to basically see what our depth is, and then see like okay who are these guys who now we can take to World Cup qualifying with us, or it's not necessarily that these are going to go to the World Cup. It's just that we need extra people for the qualifiers,
Yeah.
right? And I think since last time, the U.S. has learned a lesson that just don't take the World Cup qualifiers for granted
Yeah.
because you can miss out on big money.
No, that's
and
fair. That's fair.
and to be fair, like I think now Jamaica is going to has recruited some of the ex or would have been English players
Yeah,
because they're the rule change. So
Bobby
like people like
Decordova Reed,
Mhm. Antonio. Uh,
Mikel Antonio.
yeah. I think
Okay.
he's committed to Jamaica now, but he's not playing the Gold Cup. But yeah, I mean, definitely Concacaf. I would say is getting better, and it's gonna get tougher. And I like it. I mean, it's good. I think that's good for football. And going into the World Cup, right? Because you're looking at some of the outside. Because that's the thing. It's teams from Concacaf, teams from Asia, teams from Africa. Like they're probably not gonna win the World Cup, but they're not gonna knock out or hurt someone who's a favorite,
Yeah,
right? And that's why they're so much fun to watch, right? Because it's like they're playing with nothing to lose,
everybody
right?
wants to see, I don't know, Albania just absolutely slam dunk France.
Exactly. And the thing is, like these players will play like that,
Yeah,
right? Like if the United States plays France, guess what? The United States is going 200% against France. They're going to try to basically kill every single player on the field,
yeah,
right? And same goes with Mexico. Same goes for Japan. Like they're gonna go all out. They're gonna go guns blazing. France, they're gonna be like, all right, dude, we cannot lose this game, otherwise
yeah,
we're gonna be embarrassed. And when you have that difference in mentality, it makes a difference. Look at
yeah,
Korea versus Germany in the last World Cup, right?
yeah.
They have a team which is going, we have nothing to lose, versus a team which is like, we have to just get a draw to try to, qualify for the next round. Big difference.
It all went up sideways. Yeah, and I guess having that mental pressure on or off can have a massive impact.